Hello everyone and welcome to another Ranger team video. Before I get into the team itself, I'm going to talk about Mighty Morphin Green and Mighty Morphin White Tommy. As I mentioned in a video or two ago, since I didn't really cover them in terms of their playstyle, what they do. Now all of Tommy's Mighty Morphin Green combat cards were designed around his loner ability. And that's because his Gift of the Dragon didn't come until the Tommy Oliver expansion, which came out after the Kickstarter exclusive down the line of the game. And as a result of the fact they're built around Loner, then you can see that all of his cards are meant to get the most out of just playing one card at a time. Because if you send Tommy by himself, you want to have cards in your hand to play, but you don't want to have too few cards in your deck. So all of his cards are meant to basically get the most out of playing one card. Just playing that one card, you can usually attack up to two foes with just a single card. The obvious example is his Dragon Dagger. He does the same attack twice, but he can choose two separate targets for both attacks, for both instances of that attack. His Dragon Rush is another one that he performs two separate attacks. The first one die, the second with 2 dice. However, with the Loner ability, he gets 2 dice with the first attack and then 3 dice with the second. Even his Solo Strike, which you might say is just one attack. But if combined with his Loner ability, he'll roll 3 dice, and if you want to remove one of those dice, he'll only perform a 2 dice attack, but that card goes back to his hand, so he doesn't have to worry about drawing any more cards back into his hand. You can just keep playing that card over and over for 0 cost, honestly. I mean, this card doesn't cost anything normally, so you can just keep playing this card over and over with his Loner ability, and he can keep attacking foot soldiers one at a time. His Dagger Solo, Dagger Solo works great, especially, I think Dagger Solo is best when played in a group, but it's still really good when Tommy's by himself, because in a standard game of 5 Rangers, you only get 2 energy in the shared pool, so when Tommy goes in, he has just the 2 in the shared pool, plus whatever, if he has his own energy stored, he can take that for a total of 3 energy total. But if he wants to play his Dragon Dagger, that's all 3 of his energy at once. He can't do anything else. So if you want to just do a Dagger Solo first, so then you could play a Dragon Dagger. Sure, it would be 2 energy, and that's all you have left. You'd use the rest of it up, but the rest of your cards, Dragon Shield, Dragon Rush, all of those would be completely free to play for the rest of the game. Yeah, so like I said, all of his cards were originally designed around kind of like double attacks almost, kind of similar to Trini, but it's kind of double attacks using just one card. I guess that's the simpler way of putting it. His Gift of the Dragon is definitely more of a team type of character ability. And let's say, even if it's only a couple of Rangers, let's say Tommy, Kimberly, and Jason are fighting a monster. Let's say it's just the monster at the location, so the team feels that only 3 Rangers are needed to beat it. Tommy decides to use his Gift of the Dragon to, let's say, give Kimberly his Dragon Dagger. Kimberly will then play Take Aim, which gives an energy to the team, and then if the next card is an attack, she can reroll any number of dice for that attack. So then she decides to play the Dragon Dagger that Tommy gives her, and Jason, well, technically Jason doesn't have to be there, but he uses his Tyrannosaurus card in order to add an extra 2 dice to the attack. So basically now Kimberly's rolling 5 dice twice, and she can roll any number of those dice for both instances of the attack, because Dragon Dagger says that any effects applied to the first attack apply to both attacks. So that's a very, powerful combo. I mean, I'm sure there's more, but that's just the one that kind of came off the top of my head. Gift of the Dragon, like I said, is very much more of a team effort type of card. You could even, let's say, Tommy and Kimberly just fought some foot soldiers, and Tommy was kind of low on health, so he was going to go back to the command center, while Kimberly went to go help the rest of the Rangers fight the monster. He can give, let's say, his Dragon Shield over to Kimberly, and she can then move over and join the other Rangers, and she has a Dragon Shield in her hand she can use to lower the damage that a Ranger takes, or Tommy could even give her his Dagger Solo, so when the next battle starts and the Rangers start fighting the monster, she can play Dagger Solo to lower the cost of all of the other cards the Rangers play by 1 for the rest of that battle. So much strategy with Tommy. I mean, Gift of the Dragon, I'm not going to lie, originally I thought it wasn't really like that useful of a card, but the more I think about it, the more potential combos come into my head and how versatile the ability actually turned out. But that's kind of how Tommy plays. For his Mighty Morphin White incarnation, this one definitely highlights more of the leadership aspect he took over once Jason left. Not in the sense that he, like, quote unquote, supports his team like Jason does, but more so he's kind of like an all around character. He can do a lot of different things. For example, his Splash Kick lets him take charge and potentially take out a fast enemy card. Probably not the monster, depending on what it is, but at the very least he can take out a foot soldier with the fast keyword. His Guardian Armor gives the whole team 2 energy, and since he places it back on top of his deck, he can then take the next attack for his team. He can spread damage with both Saba's Eye Beams and Saba Slash, and then his Fainting Slash is, I think, kind of reminiscent of his Green Ranger deck, in that he kind of keeps reusing the same card. He makes the most out of a single card. Fainting Slash, it is luck based. If you don't roll any blanks, it gets discarded, but odds are you out of 3 dice, you're probably going to roll 1 blank, so it'll keep going back to your hand. Sure, it costs 1 energy every time, but if you don't have to keep using cards from your deck, it's really good. I mean, another kind of smaller strategy with Tommy is the fact that he likes to encourage other Rangers to play 0-cost cards, and that's exhibited by both Flying Tiger and his White Tiger Zord. He can't play them himself. Well, with a Tiger Zord he technically can, but he always permits another Ranger to play a second card after either a maneuver for the White Tiger Zord or after Flying Tiger itself has been played. Another Ranger may immediately play a 0-cost card. So he does play around with that a little bit. When I say White Ranger Tommy's more of a jack-of-all-trades kind of character, as opposed to not particularly like super strong in one aspect, but he's still really good in everything that he does. Both his character cards, his Guardian Shield was the first ability that was in Heroes of the Grid. That came in the Kickstarter exclusive box. Oh, Guardian Light, not Guardian Shield. Guardian Light was his initial ability. And again, that highlights his leadership ability to protecting his team, adding another shield to whatever card they use for defense. His Guardian Light ability is another one that... Oh, Rallying Light, not Guardian Light, Rallying Light. Just add another energy in the shared pool if there isn't any. So both of his abilities are very team-focused, and that's kind of what White Ranger Tommy is. He's a very team-focused character, more so than Green Ranger was, or is. And yeah, that is basically Tommy, both Green Ranger and White Ranger form. Now we'll talk about the rest of the Rangers on the team. Well, we'll talk about the team as a whole. Before I get on to the team themselves, one more thing I wanted to mention is that, as I mentioned before, I was originally planning on using all the extra Rangers from the Kickstarter exclusive and Shattered Grid expansions, but I completely forgot about Rebel Ranger Slayer, so I replaced her with Dragon Shield Jason, which I don't regret. So basically what I want to clarify is that Dragon Shield Jason, Mighty Morphin Green Tommy, and Mighty Morphin White Tommy are the 3 Rangers that come in the Kickstarter exclusive box, while Jen Scott and Lauren Sheba come in the Shattered Grid expansion. So I don't want to confuse anybody thinking if they get the Kickstarter exclusive, they're going to get all 5 of the Rangers I'm talking about. No, you're just getting Mighty Morphin White, Mighty Morphin Green, Dragon Shield Jason, that comes with just the 2, that comes with the Dragon Dagger and Dragon Shield for Jason. The rest of his deck is in the base game. But Jen Scott and Lauren Sheba come in the Shattered Grid expansion. So just to clarify that. Alright, so now finally moving on to the team dynamic. Once again, the team I used was Mighty Morphin Red, Jason Dragon Shield, Mighty Morphin Green Tommy, Mighty Morphin White Tommy, Jen Scott's Time Force Pink, and Lauren Sheba Super Samurai Red. This team actually had a pretty good synergy. I was very surprised. Basically a combo that I used, I thought was really useful, was playing Team Tactics with Jason to gain an energy. So then I would do Dagger Solo with Mighty Morphin Green, which lowered the cost of everything by 1 for the rest of the battle. This pretty much meant that everything aside from Blade Blasters and Power Weapons were free to play the entire battle. And not only that, Team Tactics, Dagger Solo, and then I used the Mighty Morphin White's the White Tiger Zord. So after playing a maneuver, another Ranger can play a card with a cost of 0. So something like Jen's, her Overclock. which is a 0 cost for 2 dice, an extra attack. Because the first 2 I played weren't attacks, they were maneuvers, so I actually get to attack on a ranger turn. So Team Tactics into Dagger Solo, and then use my White Tiger Zord into Overclock, which is a 2 dice attack, and then I can discard, let's say, her power weapon, because I didn't use the V5 blaster at all in the battle. I would discard it to gain an extra 3 energy, even though everything was kind of free anyway. You never know. In case I decide to play a lot of power weapons, it still adds up, even 2 energy. That's a very good combo. Or let's say I could just do Team Tactics into Dagger Solo into one of Jen's other cards, her reaction, her Covering Fire. So now her Covering Fire is completely free after, because I did Dagger Solo, and you can activate after playing a maneuver. So now I can, if I had 2 of them, one time I did have 2 of them in my hand. So after lowering the cost, I was able to get 2 different attacks with 2 dice, and that was very powerful. Lauren was able to spread some damage around here and there. She was kind of the weakest, I think, member of my team. Not to say she was bad, but I was able to use her Black Box, and then not her Spin Sword, but Burnout. I believe it was the Black Box and Burnout. So I was able to double the damage from that attack and even spread one of the dice into another one for double the damage as well. So that was a very useful combo that I did. I was only able to do it once, but still, it helped a lot. Get rid of a couple of foot soldiers. Tommy at the beginning helped a lot with his loner ability. Just to clarify, I used Loner for Mighty Morphin Green and Guardian Light for Mighty Morphin White. So in the first round, I sent Tommy by himself to handle a couple of goons. I was fighting Rinchi and Rinchi Beasts, so he was able to handle that by himself pretty well with his Loner ability. And then, surprisingly, Fainting Slash was a very powerful card with White Ranger Tommy, because I didn't really need to do a lot of damage most of the time when I would use it, and so even if I rolled a blank, 90% of the time it went back to my hand. And I was able to use his Saba Strike or Saba Slash in order to spread some decent damage around. And, before I forget, the Megazord that I ended up... Let me go over the 2 Megazords that come in the Kickstarter exclusive box. The first one is Dragon Zord Battle Mode. Obviously it's a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers card. Its ability reads, exhaust this card to place the Megazord token in any location. At the start of each battle in the Megazord's current location, roll 6 dice and deal that much damage to an enemy card of your choice. So right away, as soon as the battle starts, roll 6 dice and whatever damage, you can put that to whoever you want. Doesn't matter if it's guarded or not. This was super helpful. Because I was fighting Rita, and she had her card, I'll put it on the screen, I forget what the name is, but it raises the cost of all cards by 1. So by the time I got to her, I just obtained the Dragon Zord Battle Mode. So I rolled just enough to be able to take out that card, so none of my cards were costing any more than they normally would. Which is great, because against Rita I did not draw Dagger Solo. And then since I had to fight Rita twice, I was able to use the Battle Mode Dragon Zord a second time. And I think I took out another one of her cards. At the very least, I did a lot of damage to it. Almost took it out. But yeah, this is a very good card. I can easily see why people see an argument being made that this is better than the Megazord. But there's also, obviously, it's high risk, high reward. Because if you roll nothing but blanks, you can't reroll this card because it's not an attack. So you can't use Discipline, or if you had Jason's leadership ability, you couldn't reroll it. There's no way for you to take it back, basically. So you're kind of at the luck of the roll. But if you roll really good, you could roll as high as 12 damage if you're really lucky. And one of the drawbacks, aside from just being entirely luck-based, is that you can only target one enemy card. You can't spread it out. You couldn't use the Dragon Zord in conjunction with it, because the Dragon Zord only works when any ranger defeats an enemy with an attack. And the Dragon Zord Battle Mode is not an attack. It's just an ability. Kind of like a maneuver, if you want to think of it that way. Although, it's not technically a maneuver, so you can't use the White Tiger Zord in conjunction with it either. It was a really helpful card, and it really saved my bacon in the game. The next Megazord card that comes in the Kickstarter box that I considered using is the Mega Tiger Zord. The Mega Tiger Zord's ability says, exhaust this card to place the Megazord token in any location. At the end of each battle on that location, roll 5 dice. Deal that much damage, divided as you choose among enemy cards. So this is almost kind of sort of an opposite of the Dragon Zord in Battle Mode. Not exact opposite, obviously, because instead of rolling So you have to wait till the end of the turn to use the Mega Tiger Zord, and you only roll 5 dice, but you can divide it as you choose among enemy targets, and it doesn't matter if they're being guarded because it's not an attack card. So it's kind of has a Saba Slash ability built into it. It's basically a Saba Slash for free. You don't have to pay anything for it, but you have to wait till the end of the battle. And so this is a very good Zord to have if you miss taking out a card or two. Just need that last little bit of extra damage. So you save until the end, roll 5 dice, divide it as you choose. Again, it's based on what you roll, so you could roll absolutely nothing and you couldn't save yourself by using discipline or anything like that, unfortunately. But hey, still a very powerful card. But yeah, this team actually turned out really well. Jason with Dragon Shield, I didn't talk about him too much, but having those 2 extra cards with basically for an extra 6 shields worth, he was able to take more attacks for the team. And he also used his own Dragon Shield and Dragon Dagger to basically having an extra power weapon is really good because he also had his power sword too. Being able to deal a lot of damage with just one Ranger in the same battle is superb. Very good team dynamic. I'm glad I ended up forgetting about the Rebel Ranger Slayer. I think I'll add her in whatever team I ended up doing. I end up using the Dragon Armor Trinian. I haven't quite figured out exactly how I'm splitting up the teams yet. Obviously, I'm trying to go by set as best I can, but some have an uneven number of Rangers mixed in, and some Ranger teams have more than 5, so I'll probably just do the core 5 and save the 6 Rangers for other teams when I can. The exception of Time Force, since I've used Jen in this group, at first I'm going to use the 5 that come in the Time Force set. And then at some point in the future, I'll throw Jen in and just do another team battle with the core team and see how that works. But right now, since it's the first time I'm covering these characters, I don't want to do duplicates if I don't have to. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know if I forgot anything or if there's something else you want to know. I'm glad to respond as best I can. And head on over to OnceRanger.com, check out the full card database, and check out the affiliate links below. It really helps out. Thank you very much.